Okay, for my next installment on how to work with things with Google, this is for my classes to show them once we get started with the fall session here in August. With my students, I'm going to be sending them out documents and sending them out work to do, having them edit some of my work just to learn the editing process, having them later in the year to edit other students' work. So for each of them, what we will be doing is getting into their specific drive if they're creating their own. Otherwise, I will be sending out a document on my drive to them. In this case, it's going to be when we go to new, it's just going to be a Google document. It's got the blue icon here. It looks like a Word type document. In this case, I've already created one to show you what we're going to be doing. So I used a previous paper that a student had given me from a few years ago when I was teaching elsewhere. And it was an opinion paper this student wrote about zoos. And so what we have here, it looks like a regular Word type document. Zoos should shut down was his argument. Now, the student has some good ideas. He doesn't like the way that people can't give them treats. He doesn't think that's fair to the animals, much like you're given a treat from your mother. He doesn't think it's fair that they aren't allowed to roam to new areas, that they aren't allowed to truly hunt the way their instincts would tell them to, and just being trained to go inside and outside by their keeper. And we know that this is a safety idea for the keepers and for other people at the zoo, but at the same time, he doesn't just think it's fair for the animals themselves. So what we're going to do now is, once we've gotten the students' work, we're going to go up here to add-ons, and we go to get add-ons is where you can get the add-ons and put the name here and install it. In this case, I have already installed it. The add-on is called Kaizena Mini, Kaizena Mini, M-I-N-I. And when you do that, you immediately get an icon down here telling you it's working and it's coming up. And Kaizena is over here on the right-hand side of the screen, and it says it's loading. Once it loads, it's going to ask two things. For this document, are you giving feedback or receiving feedback? You're receiving feedback if you wrote the article. If you did not write the article and you're editing it, you are giving feedback. And then here, put my own email in there as the person that's receiving the feedback. And I'm going to hit continue. So now what I'm going to do is, this student put, I believe that keeping animals in a zoo is unfair to the animal. The zoo animals never get a chance to hunt or roam to new areas on their own. So I'm going to highlight, never get a chance to hunt. And when I highlight that, never get a chance to hunt, then I'm going to come right up here and say, and it doesn't even need to be capitalized. It's just a tidbit of information that gives the writer, excuse me, feedback for how they've written it. And I'm going to say many zoos like to give the animals food in a way that makes them feel as though they are, and here I'm going to go hunting and hit enter. And so I've got this here. They must learn to go inside their house den when their keeper puts the food inside, and then go outside when the door is opened again. This seems like a boring day, and they never get to have any fun. So we're going to come here and say new feedback. In this case, I can do audio, I can do text, or I can do a link. So here I'm going to do audio. And are we ready? Start recording. Many zoos like to give their animals treats, whether it be food in frozen, encased, in ice in the summer for a treat in the summer. Sometimes it's a ball to play with. Sometimes it's stuffed animals, depending on what the animal it is, to try to keep their day from being boring, to let them enjoy their day. Then I click stop, and that student will have an audio thing there. They don't even get to eat treats from the people who visit the zoo because they are on a special diet. They are on a special diet. Now, if I don't like that, I'm going to say they don't get treats from the people. Now, in this case, I looked up and found some new information for the student. I could give a link feedback. That's what this would be right here. But in deciding the level of the student, the link was over their head. It was too difficult for them to understand. And so I'm going to come here with a text and just say, it isn't safe for the animal's health to feed them what we call junk food. And there we have it. So here, this student then, as I'm done here, and I've gotten all my hints, I've got highlighted copies here. When I click share, it's going to send it to them. In this case, I'm going to send it to me. Come in here and just write feedback on it. Hit send, and they then will open the same add-on that we've got here. They will see either the text, or they'll be able to go up and click and hear what I've said on the recording, so they get their feedback on their paper. It will allow them to go out and find additional ways to get their point across, perhaps just rewording, perhaps giving additional information for the majority of zoos that don't have much funding, or whatever they can find in that way. Otherwise, it's a great way for students to learn more about the writing process as they get a chance to read how others have edited their paper. Thanks.